Well, Boeing is looking at a blockbuster year for its commercial business. In India, the company expects a packed order book thanks to deliveries scheduled for carriers like Jet Airways, SpiceJet and Vistara. Speaking exclusively to CNBC TV 18's Jude Sanet, Boeing's VP for India and Asia sales Dinesh Keskar said that the company was confident on Jet Airways resolving its issues at the earliest. Here's a slice from that conversation.
We think we have already sold over 225 Maxes to Jet Airways, about 155 Maxes to SpiceJet with additional options, and then recently 6 787 Dreamliners to Vistara with 4 purchase rights. What that means is we have a lot of order book and we are kind of booked solid for the next 4 or 5 years, and many of these airplanes were going to come this year. I think we will expect to deliver about 20 to 25 Maxes. Next year, this time, we will have the first Vistara airplane come in. And as you know, Air India is already operating 27 of the Dreamliners that are behind here. So we are absolutely delighted with the Indian market.
As far as the Boeing 737 next gen is concerned, there was, of course, you put it on hold with regard to delivering it to Jet Airways. Is that still on hold at the moment? Give us a status update of where things stand.
Let me clarify that. Good question. As far as Boeing is concerned, we are delivering those airplanes. They are built in Jet Airways livery. They are very much done and parked. The airplanes, when Jet Airways purchased them, they did something called sale-leaseback, which means they took those airplanes, and that's the traditional and the only way most airlines in India take the airplanes. So they have done the sale-leaseback, and because of their current situation, it's the lessor and the Jet Airways is having discussion when those airplanes will be actually handed over to them. We have handed it over already to the lessors. So as far as we are concerned, we are fulfilling our agreement with the leasing companies, with the airlines in India, without any delay.
Right. But while you bring up Jet Airways, another question that continues to remain pertinent is that the company still hasn't come out with a funding plan and a long-term plan with regard to the situation that they are in. How concerned are you really as a manufacturer?
No, look, we monitor it very closely. We knew there was a board meeting last week which went well and the resolution has been passed. We also know there is a extraordinary meeting this week, actually today, and then there will be further discussion later in the weeks to come. And we know there is a funding plan in place, and that needs to be done. Everything takes time, no matter where you are in the world. But we are comfortable that things will happen because, look, India needs this airplane. India needs these airlines. India needs to grow. And with the great leadership of Prime Minister Modi, whatever is happening in India, you can see a tremendous appetite for growth economically, like I mentioned. And also, aviation is a key part of it. We think Jet Airways will have a role to play and it will be around.
Moving on then, India is the largest market for legal disputes, and an upcoming concept of litigation funding is slowly emerging to help the claimants fight their case without thinking about the legal costs. Nanisha Podar, my colleague, caught up with a global leader in litigation funding and corporate lawyer Cyril Shroff about its prospects in India.
Litigation funding enables claimants in disputes to mitigate their cost risk. The funder pays for all of the costs of the disputes, including any legal fees, disbursements and court costs, meaning that the claimants don't have to. So what the litigation funding is doing is enabling claims to be brought that otherwise may not be. The only exposure the claimants may have to any costs if their claim is funded is if there is an eventual damages recovery from which the funder would seek a return on their investment and the initial investment they have made. If the claim loses, the funder will have been paid for all of the costs of the claim, and the claimant would have no cost, risk or exposure to bear.
Is it legal here?
Our Civil Procedure Code has been amended in many states to allow it. I think the Supreme Court has recognized it as well in at least twice. It's recognized in arbitration as well. So I think we're going to see this. And there have actually been some small beginnings that have been made by some crowdfunding outfits as well. So I think it's already here, let's say below the radar. I think you will see it more mainstream soon as this conversation picks up.
Have we had any example of remittance by way of legal litigation funding?
You touch a very important point. I think it's the Foreign Exchange Management Act issue, particularly for its offshore funding into India for litigation, that there is some grey around it. But it's possible to use for cross-border arbitrations, and there are still many uses of it.
Okay, well, moving on, exactly 1 week after the Pulwama terror attack in which India lost 40 CFPF Jawans, the United Nations Security Council has passed a resolution. The resolution, proposed by India and backed by all countries including China, names terrorist outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed.